In this video today, President Trump makes a shocking announcement about Elon Musk. The media is continuing to lose it over Trump's tariffs, and a heartbreaking story about a teenager who was stabbed to death is going viral. So let's start with what President Trump had to say about Elon Musk.
Do you have a sense of how long Elon Musk's mission will last and when he will depart?
Well, Elon is fantastic, and I think it's, he's a patriot, and I think it's a shame what they're doing with his car company, and a great car. It's a great car, great product, and it tells you what a patriot he is. He's amazing. No, I mean, as long as he'd like, I like smart people, and he's a smart person. I also like him personally. When he endorsed me, that's when I really got to know him.
Do you think you would appoint him to another position once his 130 days?
Well, I think Elon's great, but he also has a company to run, or a number of companies to run. That he can do this, that he can find the time. He loves the country, that's why he does it. But we're in no rush. But there'll be a point at which time Elon's going to have to leave.
Yeah, so you heard what President Trump had to say. He would love for Elon Musk to stay as long as he likes. Now, of course, the media won't love that statement, and neither will Democrats. That's why they want us to focus on that fake news story that we debunked for you earlier today. Now, while he was on Air Force One, he also talked about tariffs. Let's take a look at that clip now.
Love to get your reaction, sir, to what's going on in the financial markets today.
Well, I mean, it's to be expected. This is a patient that was very sick. We really inherited a terrible economy, as you know, with a lot of problems, including loss of manufacturing and plants closed up all over the country. You know, we've lost 90,000 plants since NAFTA, if you think of that. 90,000. It's not even believable. And about 6 million jobs. And so it was a sick patient. It went through an operation on Liberation Day, and it's going to be a booming country.
Now, maybe visuals will be more effective in proving my point here and why the hysteria from the media, Democrats, even Republicans in regards to these tariffs is definitely misplaced. What you're looking at on the screen is a 10-year history of the S&P 500. Now, the bottom left-hand corner is 2012, and the top right corner is where we are right now. And that's not me trying to insult your intelligence, but as you guys can see, the last major drop that was even worse than what we've been experiencing right now was during COVID. But see, the media won't tell you that. Even the financial bros won't tell you that. And the reason why I say that is because they're in the business of selling fear in the form of a narrative on TV. That's what they get paid to do. Now, the bottom line here is I'm here to tell you the truth. There's no reason to panic, because if we just look at the data, everything's going to be fine because the market will correct itself. Now, obviously, Cramer, who's your favorite financial advisor, disagrees.
What bothered me, Aaron, was that they really did over and over again. The president said, listen, it's going to be reciprocal. So you do it, we do it. And that was going to be so good. And I really believed in it. And I feel like a sucker tonight because I am not a free trader and I do not believe in free trade. And I was just as tough, if not tougher than his people, but they screwed it up and they really they did it a totally ill-advised way. And I was very let down as someone who really, truly believes that free trade is awful for the American working person. This is what they came up with. Jeez, come on, have some gumption, have some math.
All right, now the only way to respond to Jim Cramer is by doing the opposite of whatever he tells you to do. It is a known fact that most people can get wealthy by doing the opposite of whatever he is recommending people do financially, okay? That's his whole history. That's his record. That's what the results say. It is something that is indisputable. Now, we already know that Jim Cramer is going to disagree with President Trump on tariffs. Fine. And so will majority of the media. But what about Nancy Pelosi? Because according to this next clip, she actually agrees with the president. Take a look.
Right now, we have a $34 billion trade deficit with China, the 1995 figure. It will be over $40 billion for 1996. Since the Tiananmen Square massacre, this figure has increased 1,000%, from $3.5 billion then to about $34 billion now. In terms of tariffs, I think it's interesting to note that the average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%, whereas the average Chinese MFN tariff on U.S. goods going into China is 35%. Is that reciprocal? On exports, China only allows certain industries into China, of U.S. Industries into China, and therefore only 2% of U.S. exports are allowed into China. On the other hand, the U.S. allows China to flood our markets with a third of their exports, and that'll probably go over 40%. And it's limitless because we have not placed any restriction. In terms of jobs, this is the biggest and cruelest hoax of all. China trade supports 170,000 jobs in the United States, 170,000 jobs, whereas our imports from China support 10 million jobs at least. Fact is that U.S.-China trade is a job loser.
Now let's give a thanks to this creator on X called Maze. You guys should follow him. That's what his username is, Maze Moore. I love it because he's always finding clips from way back when. That brings me to my main point here. This is exactly the video that needs to be played on repeat when you start to hear somebody cry about tariffs. Just have them watch this. This goes all the way back to 1996. She said back then that the trade deficit was $35 billion. You guys want to know what it is today? It's $300 billion. That was in 2024, a 5.8% increase over the previous year in 2023. It's also the largest trade deficit for the United States with any single country. And yes, there are other countries, by the way, but let me give you the real shocking number here. The overall U.S. trade deficit in goods hit a record $1.2 trillion in 2024. Now, in case you don't understand the words trade deficit, and again, I'm not insulting your intelligence, but I want to make this simple for you. All it means is that in America, we are sending more money out into other countries than we are receiving from other countries. That's the bottom line here. So why are we sending all this money out to China, but we're not getting the same back? And not only that, as you saw in the Nancy Pelosi video, they benefit more from that trade deficit than we do.
We cannot have China controlling our national destiny. We cannot have foreign countries deciding whether we have a steel industry, a copper industry, a timber industry. We cannot have a situation where we are dependent on foreign countries for the medicine that heals us, the steel that strengthens us, the industry and commerce that powers us and keeps us safe. And so President Trump is saying that he will be the president that makes us economically secure and that makes us no longer dependent and reliant on foreign nations, including foreign adversaries.
Now, let's go to our second story. That is about Mike Waltz and the 6 staffers under him that were fired over the Signalgate debacle. Now, the real story isn't even really that. It's actually because Laura Loomer met with the president, and now the media is just losing their minds over it. Take a look.
Trump does a lot of crazy things. We all know that. But why would he let Loomer stroll into the Oval Office, dress down his cabinet, and dictate who should be fired? No matter how aggressive she is on social media. At the end of the day, she's a far-right conspiracy theorist who has no government experience. But yet, she has the ear of the president, and apparently hiring and firing power over his top security staff. Don't you feel safer already?
Now, what I find to be so interesting is they were crying for people to be fired. Now that President Trump has fired 6 individuals, they have nothing to say. I wonder why. Is it because those individuals are the true moles, the individuals who are looking to set up President Trump to fail? I wonder why they are defending them. Now, getting to the whole Laura Loomer piece, results tell the story. She's the one that exposed it. She's the one that probably told the president. And of course, he's not going to say, yes, she's the reason why I fired these people. Come on, man. It's politics. All right. Now, speaking of the president, here's what he said.
Tell us a little bit about your meeting with Laura Loomer and Mike Waltz today and how that came about.
So Laura Loomer is a very good patriot. She is a very strong person. And I saw her yesterday for a little while. She makes recommendations of things and people. And sometimes I listen to those recommendations like I do with everybody. I listen to everybody and then I make a decision. But I saw her yesterday. She was at the ceremony. And she'll always have something to say, usually very constructive.
What did she recommend?
She recommended certain people for jobs.
Adding to the administration, not
Adding.
Who did
but
she
not
recommend?
firing.
Well, she'll recommend that too. But yesterday she recommended some people for jobs.
Did she have anything to do with the NSC aides who were ousted?
No, not at all.
Do you know how many, sir? Do you know how many from the NSC?
Not many.
Was it 5, a dozen?
I really don't know.
Who does Loomer want?
There were a couple that I know.
Who did Laura recommend hiring?
well, I don't want to say that, but she's recommended some good people over the years. She's been in the party a long time. She's done a good job.
Now, it's not just MSDNC that's losing their mind over this meeting between President Trump and Laura Loomer. It's also CNN. I just think this is entertaining. Pay attention to how they open the show in discussing this entire story. Watch.
Tonight, bloodbath. And we're not talking about the markets. This is now new information that we are learning about President Trump here at CNN, that he has fired multiple National Security Council officials. But by the way, this is not about Signal. This is not about Pete Hegseth or Michael Waltz. No, this is about something else. This is because far-right conspiracy theorist Laura Loomer, who has baselessly claimed 9/11 was an inside job, told him that he should get rid of a bunch of people.
All right, let's just be fair here. So it's okay that they used the word bloodbath, but not when President Trump used the word, right? I mean, are they calling for a war in regards to Laura Loomer visiting the White House? I mean, is there a way that we can twist it like they twisted President Trump's words? You see, it's rules for you and me, but not for them. I just find that to be interesting. Now, it got even crazier because she just hates that it was Laura Loomer who told President Trump this information. Watch this.
But, I understand what both of you are saying. And maybe, you could criticize me for coming back on this, but I will say I can't get over the messenger, and I can't get over the fact that Trump is okay with this messenger, David. I mean, let's just go through Laura Loomer, okay? She suggested 9/11 was an inside job. She has questioned whether school shootings are real. She posted, David, and I'm not saying you're defending what she's posted. I'm just making a point to everybody what she's done. Have you noticed there's always a school shooting in a swing state or caucus state right before an election? She talked about Kamala Harris saying if she was elected, the White House will smell like curry. Marjorie Taylor Greene denounced her. Mm-hmm.
Now, what you just experienced there was someone who has Laura Loomer derangement syndrome. Now, you may, as watching this video, you may not even like her. You may think she's crazy. That's fine. But listen, guys, there's a certain level where you don't want to obsess over people too much, okay? And CNN definitely has an obsession over Laura Loomer. There's no question. Like they have with Elon Musk, like they have with President Trump, and anybody else that aligns themselves with Trump, they get this type of treatment. And that's my whole point here. It's not necessarily about what they're talking about. It's the way that they're discussing all of this, instead of discussing that those 6 individuals were looking to set President Trump up to fail. And I want to know why. Now let's go to this third story, which will probably break your heart. It's about Austin Metcalf, a teenager who was stabbed and ultimately died. And the story has been going viral, so I want to talk about it because I think it's relevant. Let's first hear a couple more details.
A high school track meet yesterday turned deadly. 17-year-old football star Austin Metcalf was stabbed in the heart and left to die in his twin brother's arms after a fight broke out yesterday. The suspect was allegedly told he was sitting in the wrong seat in the stands of the stadium before drawing a knife and attacking Austin. Police have yet to reveal what led up to that moment, but we do know the other student has been charged with murder.
Now, on social media, what you're going to see is hypocrisy. That's what people are highlighting in this story. Number one, mainstream media isn't covering it, besides Fox News and probably Newsmax. But secondly, the story just breaks your heart. And it's not even a story about race or anything like that. But it definitely shows you what's wrong with our society. Now, this kid died because he supposedly confronted the suspect for sitting in the wrong seat. Now, more details are yet to be released, and so obviously we only know what we just heard. But what you're looking at right now are social media posts from both of these individuals the day or a few days leading up to the fateful tragedy there. And so I think that kind of tells you the story about the mindset of both of these individuals. Now, before I give you what I really think about this entire story, let's hear from the father. Take a look at this.
Like I said, people ask me, how can you forgive what to this other person? I said, I forgive the other person because the forgiveness is not for him. The forgiveness is for me, so I can have peace. His life is destroyed. My life is destroyed. It's an unfortunate, tragic to affect us for the rest of our lives. I want to get the word out so maybe parents can educate their children to where this doesn't happen to someone else. Senseless acts of violence in this world have become more, I don't want to say acceptable, but I think today's society is more calloused to all the things.
Now, earlier in that actual interview, he talks about how his son Austin actually grabbed the backpack of the suspect, and then that's how he got stabbed ultimately. Now, this brings me to how I really feel about this. Guys, this is a simple issue of a young man who cannot control his emotions. Number one, why is he carrying around a knife? Number two, why does he think he needs to be that violent? And number three, who is his father? Those are my particular questions. Because when you're young and that is what you do because someone grabbed your backpack, I mean, listen, I would respect kids who just throw hands. But you want to reach for a knife, you want to reach for a gun, that to me is called weak sauce, okay? And maybe I'm a little bit more old school with it, but I think that if the fathers are not there, then this is what happens. And I'm willing to bet my money there's an issue with the parenting. Because why would the kid react that way so emotionally, that he's willing to kill another individual? That right there is parenting, folks. Clearly, that is a gut-wrenching story. I definitely recommend go watch the Will Cain interview with the mom and the brother. Now, I just want to show you one final clip, and I think this will bring a smile to your face because I know that was a tough story to listen to. Here's Kamala Harris coming out of hiding to offer some guidance.
When a few stand with the courage, that is the courage exhibited by the leaders in this room every day, to stand, to have the courage to say, I feel fear. The courage to say what is happening is wrong. The courage to say that there is a way that we must chart to get through this. Understanding our power in the democracy we still have if we hold on to it. Courage is contagious.
Courage is absolutely contagious, and that's exactly what President Trump showed yesterday when he announced those tariffs on the rest of the world in order to level the playing field. So let me get your response to this video in the comment section below. What do you think about the Laura Loomer story? What do you think about his answer in regards to Elon Musk and how long he can continue to work for the administration? Just let me know your overall reaction in the comment section below. Now, it seems to be a recurring theme every single day where the news is continuing to lie about Elon Musk and other people lied with President Trump. And that's what happened this morning when Politico claimed that President Trump was trying to push Elon Musk out and shut down Doge. If you missed out on that and stories from earlier today, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.